Well, I'd like to welcome you to the Noblesville First Q&A with our new Associate Pastor Jill Moffett. If by the time you see this, she will have preached out at Teeter at 8:15 and in the process at 10 o'clock, I guess, as well as the online worship. But we wanted to give a chance for you to get to know her personally, just a little bit about what she's about and some of her personality and what she brings to Noblesville First. So we thought we'd do this Q&A, and it's recorded separately so you can watch it at your convenience. So please share it, pass the word. We're excited about the skills that Jill's going to bring to us, the gifts that she has, and certainly the passion she has for our Lord Jesus Christ and in Jesus' ministry for us. So got a few quick questions that we'll let her answer. So Jill, the first question is, tell us about your family of origin and the part that it played in your spiritual journey.
Well, I was born and raised in Knoxville, Tennessee. Both of my parents are retired now, but OBGYN doctors. So my younger sister and I had an interesting childhood growing up. And my younger sister is about 3 years younger than me. She lives in California now. And we grew up in a secular home. We had a Christmas tree and Easter baskets and traditional family meals around holidays. But later on in life, my mom decided to pursue Judaism as part of our family history. And so we began to attend a synagogue in Knoxville. And I got really interested and involved in that. And my mom and I had our bat mitzvahs together when I was 15, and I was involved in the youth group there, and just felt really called at that point into faith community leadership. I sang, so I thought about going to rabbinical school or being a cantor, and really felt led in that way. And that was a really big part of my life. My sister and my dad were not overly involved in that. It was something my mom and I kind of shared, and so they were supportive, and my mom and I were very involved in the temple and went from there. So that changed when I was I was a senior in high school, and I began to get interested in Christianity because I took a class on Bible history, which was a class about seeing the Bible as literature, studying geography, the stories, that kind of thing. And I really got interested in Jesus and the Gospels and the New Testament. And after a lot of discernment, questions, a lot of hard times, really, by the time I was a college student at Butler, I came to the conclusion that Christianity was where I felt called in my belief. And there's a whole lot more to that story that I'm going to be sharing in bits and pieces over the next few months with you all. The big question I get, though, about my family of origin is, are your parents supportive of what I do? And the answer is yes. I tell people that my mom is the most well-educated Jew when it comes to Methodism. She can, if I call her and say, hey Mom, I have a PPR meeting tonight, a Pastor Parish Relations Committee meeting, she'll say, okay, she knows exactly what that is. So both my parents are supportive of what I do, and I really appreciate that because they care about me being a spiritual person above all else, and so I am happy about that. And they live in Bloomington now. My parents do, retired, and my sister, like I said earlier, is in California. So that's a bit about my family and how they've influenced my life. And my faith.
I've met your mother, very nice.
Yes.
Look forward to meeting the rest of your family.
Yeah.
So tell us a little more about your faith journey,
Mm-hmm.
and then specifically about your calling into ministry.
Mm-hmm. So my faith journey it did start in the Jewish faith, and so by the time I really wrestled with those tough questions about Christianity, I felt like I had a pretty good, really, background in the story of God and God's people through the Hebrew Scriptures. But when I became a Christian, I really felt like, in a way, that was my completion of my circle of faith. Not that I'm ever going to stop learning or growing in my faith, but I felt like Christ really helped me to see God in a way that I understood God the best. And so I went from there. I really felt that when I became a Christian, I was also that time called into ministry. I felt that I had kind of that calling looking back on my experiences in the temple, growing up as a Jewish teenager. But I felt like when I said yes to Christianity, yes to Christ, I also said yes to ministry in a way. I felt that because that was such a big pivotal moment in my life, that I wanted to spend it giving back to the church and to God through ministry. That being said, I still wrestled with that too. As a religious studies major at Butler, I felt like I wanted to teach originally. I love the academic study of religion and all that brings. So I originally thought, well, I'll go on and get a PhD, maybe teach college, love biblical studies, all that. But over my time at Butler, I actually was on the youth staff at St. Luke's United Methodist Church for several years. And I also had a hospital internship as a chaplain at Wishart Hospital. And so I had all these doors opening for me, and people that came alongside me along the way that said, you should really consider this and see what you think. And so after a while, I really felt that call to ministry in that way, and went to seminary, and the rest is history, I guess. But I think that my faith journey has been so impacted by really my conversion experience that's where my call started, and then was really nurtured by experiences, by people that walked alongside me. And the call to ministry, as you know, Jerry, is a special one. I feel like it's such a privilege to be a pastor, that you can walk alongside people in all seasons of life. You get to do things like you still study, you write, you speak, you help people wrestle with their faith, and I think that's the beauty of the calling to ministry. One of my favorite books is This Odd and Wondrous Calling. It talks about ministry, and that's the perfect way to describe it, that we're always living into that.
Very good. Well, share with us what you see as your significant gifts and passions for ministry, just in general, wherever you've served.
Mm-hmm. Music is a big one. I sing, and I've been singing for a really long time, and I sing in the Indianapolis Women's Chorus. So I think music and with that worship and worship planning is a passion and a gift of mine. And wherever I serve, I try to bring my passion and gift for music and singing with me wherever I can fit in. So music is a big part. Preaching, I love to write sermons. I enjoy preaching. Teaching is a really big passion of mine. Like I said a minute ago, calling to ministry is that which helps us come alongside people in their faith journey. And pastors do not have all the answers, but we can certainly wrestle alongside you and help you in those challenging moments, whether we're studying a really challenging passage or perhaps a hot button topic in our political world or whatever is going on. We can see that through the lens of faith and help people understand that. And so that's a big passion of mine and a gift that I bring. I enjoy really sitting down with people and having us share in a safe place what we're wrestling with our faith and with Scripture, and how we can work through it together in ways that really matter. Other passions, of course, are pastoral care, just being on journeys with people, and I appreciate intergenerational or multi-generational ministry. I feel that I can do ministry with people of any age, and especially since becoming a parent, that has helped me a lot with identifying the needs of younger families and children, which I feel like is maybe it's kind of a gift that came for me later on as I became a mom. So those are just some some things about ministry and church that I love and hope to help with.
This is probably a good spot just to mention that Jill will be preaching more than once a month. That Pastor Matt, Pastor Jill, and I have worked out a rotation where we're going to be sharing the sermon most weeks, most Sundays. And so you'll get to hear Jill more often than has been the typical process for associate pastors. So we're excited about that multi-generational approach we're bringing.
Yeah.
So how about you share with us what you know about Noblesville First so far? What do you think you bring that's going to impact not only this congregation but this community of Noblesville?
Well, I'm definitely still learning about the church, and I feel like, especially with the pandemic, that's been a challenge as far as meeting people. I'm kind of meeting people sporadically and sometimes just over Zoom or virtual world. So it will take, I think, more time than normal to get to know some of you, and so I do want to extend the invitation that if you do want to set something up with me, a virtual meeting or an in-person meeting, please feel free to reach out, give me a call at the office or an email. Be happy to do that. But what I've experienced so far is, first of all, a warm welcome. Everybody sent cards, or I have beautiful flowers in my office right now, a wonderful welcome basket from the family ministries, and so a warm welcome is what I have experienced so far. I've experienced people who are hard workers, who are willing to offer their gifts in many different ways, and that's much appreciated. And I sense that there are people of different ages here, but I have heard comments that, well, we're a little older, but I say that's pretty typical, though, right now of mainline Protestant denominations. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it just means that we are called to be in ministry together, regardless of age, and that your pastors and staff here at the church are willing to offer opportunities to connect in different ways. And so I don't think that's a bad thing at all, to slant older. I think that's pretty typical, and we have to minister together and also find ways to bring in people of different ages. And I think that I hope to make more connections that way. When our preschool families, our children's ministries, our young families, I hope to connect with them, perhaps in new ways with the pandemic, and offer opportunities that even during this crazy time, people can still connect with church and feel like they're a part of the community. Because I know as a young mom, like, I need that community. And so if we can find creative ways to offer that, I think that will be really helpful.
Okay. Well, let's close this out with, is there anything you'd like for us to know about you that we might not think to ask?
Well, I mentioned my son, he's 4.5, his name's Xavier. You'll see him around. And he's a smart kid, he's a social kid, so he's gonna love meeting all of you. And a little bit about me. My parents live in Bloomington, like I said. I love to sing. My other hobbies are, I love to exercise. Right now, because you can't really do a lot of exercise classes, I do the YouTube cardio dance stuff sometimes, so that's fun. I really enjoy spending time with clergy colleagues and friends. My vices are shoes and handbags, so a little bit about me. Love
You'll
to
have
sing.
to check out the Bags, Baskets, and
Oh.
Blessings Reimagine then.
I already have, Jerry, and I've already made a purchase. So,
Right.
in fact, and I also donated some items, some bags to it. So, my family, like I said, close with my parents. My sister's in California. We try to get out there once or twice a year. She and her husband have one son. He's 5, and so our kids are close in age, and so they have a good time. So I think that's pretty much me. Family, friends, singing, music, ministry. It's trying to stay healthy, mentally, physically. I think those are all important things in my life to think about and consider as far as continuing to build relationships in my life. So that's important to me.
Very good. Well, we found Pastor Jill to be very relational. We think some of the gifts she's going to bring is really connecting with our younger families. And we have a transition team that's working with Pastor Jill to make sure she gets a great start and gets connected. And we prioritized the first 4 to 6 weeks for her to get to know our youngest families first. So if you happen to have that fall in that category, you got some children, please email her at jmoffett@noblesofirst.com and help make some connections. She'll meet you via Zoom or in your driveway or front porch, whatever you're most comfortable with. She'd be glad to get to know you as quickly as possible. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to the ministry we're going to have together.
Thank you.